5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hi guys, this is Klazart bringing another audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on the World Cyber Games Korean Qualifiers round of 24, and this is the best of 3 matchup between Savior and Free. Boy, a lot of us Savior fans, having been observing the recent Korean news, would have probably thought that we would never get a chance to see Savior playing in a pro game again, considering the fact that he was demoted to the CJ team, and it seems to have had the desired effect. It seems to be exactly what Savior needed, a little kick in the butt, a little reminder that he needs to actually work and be motivated and to play and to perform well, and it seems that he's picked himself up, started showing some form again, although I haven't seen. This is the first game I've seen of Savior's since his loss to Best, when Best just about was beginning his emergence into the pro scene and establishing himself as a Protoss player. So that was quite a good win for Best to start out with. Obviously, Savior was quite lackluster in that performance, and he didn't really give the best of games. And I'll be interested to watch and see how he performs in this game. Just starting up here, we've got Savior at the bottom left hand corner playing Zerg in red at the 7 o'clock position, and we've got Free at the top right hand corner playing Protoss in orange at the 1 o'clock position. Free putting the pylon down just south of his rapid scouting. Quite standard on this map for Protoss players. More than likely he's going to fast expand, although the distance he has to cover in this map is quite a lot, so it's going to be a question of whether he decides to take a gamble and puts that Nexus down first, or whether he takes a Forge down first. This map is also tailor-made for Savior's 12 hatch or even 3 hatch build, really, and Free just coming down now. Looks like he's going to put his Forge down first, as is the wise thing to do when you haven't scouted your opponent. He's now going to see that Overlord as he's going past it, so he's going to have an idea that Savior's base is probably at the 7 o'clock position. So he might even be forced to put a Photon Cannon down before he puts that Nexus down, and that's actually going to work out in Savior's favor. Savior has gone for the 12 hatchery build, and I don't think actually that Forge has come up yet, so I think he's probably going to be just about safe in avoiding that. Obviously he's going to regret the fact that even though he sent the scout out early, he wasn't able to harass Savior at all. Savior now has, after having seen that probe, surprisingly, it initially looked like he was going to send that drone out to maybe take his mineral only, but then he decided to switch to a spawning pool. I think maybe the reason he did that was because he felt that should he go for the hatchery straight away, he would probably be delayed by his opponent, and I think he's going to try and also force his opponent. But I think at this stage, Free would probably feel comfortable probably putting his Nexus down before putting a Photon Cannon down, seeing how late that spawning pool has gone up for Savior. And he's stolen a couple of minerals from Savior as well. I'm not sure how useful that will be to him. Savior sending his drone out to scout, crucially. Free looks like he's about to probe down to try and block that, and Savior unable to get past that, but Savior's seen what he needs to see. He's seen the Nexus indeed go down. No Photon Cannons out yet, obviously up for Free, so he should be comfortable now putting that gateway down now. So he's put a gateway down, and that is obviously the standard response once you've seen that the Protoss has gone once the Protoss has seen that the Zerg has gone for the 12 hatchery build. And Free with further harass putting his pylon down. Savior managed to get a hatchery down nevertheless, and it'll be interesting whether or not Free actually cancels that pylon and leaves it there, because we've often seen from Zerg players to put a 4th hatchery down and then go for kind of a Hydralisk build, and he has actually cancelled the pylon that he had planted at Savior's mineral only. We've seen it happen to July, and it didn't bother him too much. Savior, interesting enough, not trying to sneak that drone, and I think Savior would be better off sneaking that drone into Free's base, and he could probably keep that drone running around for quite a while and force Free to actually build a Dragoon or build extra cannons to try and take that drone out, and just be a general annoyance in his butt. But Savior decided not to do that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this game. I'm looking forward to seeing how Savior can play, how sharp his gameplay is. So far, he looks clever enough. The one move I've seen him make is when I thought he was going to go for that 3rd hatchery, he pulled it back and put the spawning pool down instead, because he saw Free's probe in his base and he realized that he wasn't going to be able to ward that probe off, and that's probably why he decided to make that adaptation. Savior now has started up his lair. He's not built any Zerglings, despite the fact that his spawning pool is up. He hasn't really warded that probe away from his base, and he's really giving his opponent full scouting information. I'm not sure how great an idea that is, personally, to say the least. His mineral only expo should be popping up any second now, and Free seems to have full free reign of scouting in Savior's base. Now sending a Zealot across as well, just to continue to get that scout, so forcing Savior to at least produce a couple of Zerglings, and just to put him under a little bit of pressure, just an early tester to see how Saviour's going to cope. I think Saviour's probably going to be fine. Meanwhile, Free's taken his assimilator, but he's also taken the assimilator out of his natural expo as well, so no surprises there. So Savior now managed to get about 4 Zerglings out, and he's just ushered that probe away down the ramp. Free pulls the Zealot out, it having accomplished the task of forcing Savior to build a few Zerglings, to waste a couple of larvae and resources on that. And Savior looks like he's produced a couple more Zerglings, so he should be now comfortable in keeping his opponent out. He's now going to probably start taking his natural exposed gas, and this is going to be an interesting game. I think we're probably going to see a Reaver Stair build, I would guess, from Free. I don't necessarily think he's going to go for Dark Templar because I haven't seen that Citadel of Adun go up at all, so it looks like we're going to see a Reverser build from, although we could potentially see a Bisu build, we could see Corsair's DTs, but I don't think his build is reflective of that. But yeah, so Savior I think is probably going to be, Savior looks like he's adopting the July build here, going straight for the Spire, as opposed to putting the Hydralisk Den down first. He hasn't crucially taken that 4th hatchery that we thought he might take next to the Mineral Only, once his Mineral Only had been moved aside. I mean, it's still in a decent position, but it's obviously not centrally located to all those minerals, so another hatchery there is ideal for the Zerg player. I'm sure he'll probably put that hatchery down. Meanwhile, Free seems to be content to just sit behind his defenses, and he's gotten a Dragoon out as well. He's putting the Citadel of Adun down, so he's actually putting the Citadel of Adun down, so we are going to see DTs. I wasn't sure if he was going to commit to that, but I think this is going to be a big mistake for him, because even he's only got the 1 Stargate, he's put the Citadel of Adun down, and Savior looks like he's trying to take an expansion. This is crazy. Savior's actually trying to take the natural expo, the mineral only expo, it would seem, off the 5 o'clock expansion, and this is completely insane by Savior. He's also putting a hatchery down at his mineral only, another hatchery down at his mineral only, and I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it. It's not like that hatchery is going to afford him an extra gas. Maybe he feels that that'll be more difficult for his opponent to count. He's got this Hydralisk stand up as well, just up before his Spire. The Corsair's going to come in and see that, but Savior will probably be able to get a couple of Scourges out, might even be able to catch this Corsair off guard and take it out, and Savior looks like he's cancelled the building there. I'm not sure exactly what that building was that he's cancelled. Savier's now only gotten his 2nd gas up. Savier's actually got a couple of Hydras out, so I'm not sure if he's going to have any early Scourges out or not. But this is interesting choice of strategy by Savior. I have to say, I'm not sure exactly what he's planning to do here with this choice of strategy, why he's put that hatchery down, especially considering his opponent's gone for Citadel of Adun. If Free does decide to produce a couple of Dark Templar, he might be able to find that hatchery quite easily, and Savier's going to find it incredibly difficult to defend across them. So now Savior has gotten a couple of Scourges out. He's going to try and chase that Corsair down and take it out, prevent his opponent from gaining that early air superiority. The Corsair is trying to run away, but is being chased by those Scourges, and I think it's probably going to get caught. Savior also, I think, sending a couple of Hydras down, a couple of Forces down, to try and have some protection at that expansion, which has just now come up, the Natural Expo, the 5 o'clock expansion, and that Corsair just barely avoiding Scourges. Savior trying to cut it off at the pass with another couple of Scourges. Those Scourges too joining in the hunt. He manages to just catch this Corsair before it retreats to the safety of the Dragoon. Free pushing out the Dragoon with a couple of Zealots to back it up. The Corsair was not going to make it. Had too much distance to travel. It was not going to make it all the way back to the Photon Cannons. Meanwhile, looks like Free has got his Templar Archives up. He's actually gone for High Templar, so he's not going for a... And he's actually gone for Archons because he's seen that early Spire. I think what he doesn't realize is that Savier's happy enough to let him be in that defensive mode in his base, and maybe that's what Savier's doing, because he's put the early Spire down, and his opponents see that his opponents immediately got on the defensive, putting down Photon Cannons, putting down the Archons. But meanwhile, Savior has actually gotten himself in a decent economic position. He's also going to get a couple of... I think the crucial thing is I don't think I saw a robotics facility. I definitely didn't see an observatory for Free. He's now sending his force down. He hasn't scouted Savior. I think he's going to actually try and take that expansion. Savior trying to use his Zerg, trying to kill that probe, and yeah, Free hasn't scouted Savior. Looking at Free's first-person view mode. Free's actually going for that expansion at the 3 o'clock position, but Savior, meanwhile, comfortable at that 5 o'clock expansion. It has him detect another couple of Scourges going marauding towards Scout. The robotics facility is up. Actually, I thought I saw it earlier, but I wasn't 100% sure. So that would probably guess that the observatory should be going up any second now as well. It doesn't look like he's built too many Corsairs. He's decided that seems to be standard response from the Protoss players. The moment they see that Spire go up very early, they decide that they're not going to win the battle for air superiority. Having seen players like July dominate the Protoss players who have decided to try and persist with establishing some sort of air control, they know that it's actually that the Zerg player can actually fight back on level terms with this new build that July, well, I suppose it's not really new, but with the way that July has played the build and other Zerg players that follow, looks like Savior is now also setting up to take the main of that 5 o'clock expansion. He's got a Sunken and a couple of Lurkers up, so he's in prime position to defend it. His opponent obviously not having any DTs. A couple of DTs could have sneaked in, because I'm not sure if there was an Overlord in position in that base earlier on. Savior's got a couple of Evolution Chambers up as well, and putting a Queen there, so Savior going for... And meanwhile, it looks like Free realizing that Savior's harass hasn't come, he's immediately decided to scout for the other base. He's going to be... he's managed to get a Zealot up into that expansion at the 11 o'clock position, and Savior would have been better off if he had been able to stop that Zealot coming in, because now Free knows that there is no expansion there, and Savior critically hasn't seemed to have blocked off the exit route for that Zealot, so he should have been able to kill that Zealot at the very least when the Zealot tries to leave down the ramp, but he hasn't done that. He's actually pulled his Zerglings out. Actually, it's clever by Savior. He didn't want to get his Zerglings caught on the ramp, so he's pulled them out, and Savior continued to build up the defenses at that 5 o'clock expansion, so Savior's going to be in a huge economic advantage. He's going to when he switches into macro mode, and once he gets that his Ultralisk build going, looks like Savior's going straight for Ultralisk, getting that hive up and running, playing a very static defense, not putting any pressure on the Protoss player, allowing free reign on the map and map control. Now sending a group of Zerglings out, try and do some harassment at that 3 o'clock expansion, unfortunately getting caught. Meanwhile, Free's got his observers out, and now Free is going to come into range with that Zealot off the expansion. The Zealot gets picked off, so he's going to have an idea of just how many stun